As we speak today, Xabi Alonso is the leading candidate for the Chelsea job. But what makes the former Real Madrid head coach the most ideal candidate to take over at Stamford Bridge? Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Now, Chelsea are in the market searching for their next head coach slash manager. They've had quite a couple over the years, especially ever since 2022 when Todi Boli, Egbari, and their partners took over the club that is in Chelsea. When they walked in, it was Thomas Tuchel in charge. They quickly fired him and appointed Graham Potter. Shortly after that, he was fired, and Frank James Lampard was brought on as an interim. Fast forward, he did not do much. Mauricio Pochettino was appointed for 1 season. After 1 season, he left and Enzo Maresca came in. After 1.5 seasons, he did leave the club, and the keys were handed over to Liam Rosenior after he parted ways with Strasbourg. That did not last. Barely 4 months into the role, he was shown the exit, and Carl McFellan is currently in charge as interim. So Chelsea are in a full-blown recruitment process of finding the perfect candidate for a head coach role at Stamford Bridge. But as we speak, the leading contender for that job is Xabi Alonso. In this video, we do explore why we think, or what we think makes him the best candidate for this Chelsea job. First of all, he does come with experience. That experience may not be a plethora of it, but it is valuable experience given the size of clubs that he's worked at prior to this stage that we are at. Of course, he is not the only candidate that they have considered. They've reached out to Xavi Hernandez, they've considered Francesco Sola Fabregas, Francesco Farioli, Andoni Iraola, and Oliver Glasner, as well as Luis Felipe, who played for them as a left back when he had left Atletico de Madrid. He has experience managing Flamengo. Those are some of the candidates that they've explored. But as that exploration continues, Xabi Alonso's name remains the cream on top. Deep down the pan, other things are boiling. But at the top of the pan, in terms of the creme de la creme, Xabi Alonso is the guy on everybody's lips. And so, why is that the case? His winning history comes in handy. He has won before with Bayer Leverkusen and in spectacular style. First of all, he joined Bayer Leverkusen in October 2022 when he found the club 2 places above the relegation zone in the German Bundesliga. He steadied the ship and got them to finish 6th on the Bundesliga table and subsequently saw them qualify for the UEFA Europa League. The subsequent season, in his first full season, he guided the club to the German Bundesliga title, released without losing a single game. He also won them the DFB Pokal, so it was a season double for him. He led the club to the finals of the UEFA Europa League without losing a single game throughout the entirety of the 2023-2024 campaign. It was at the finals of the UEFA Europa League that they lost out to Atlanta by 3-0. Those goals scored by Ademola Lookman at that Atlanta side that were under the charges of Gian Piero Gasperini. So, that sort of achievement is one that is quite invaluable on his CV as he is being explored to take over the reins at Chelsea. Now, given the size of Chelsea or the magnitude of the club, you would argue that they want an experienced coach, somebody that is well respected or that is going to be respected in the dressing room by both young and senior players within the club. In the previous appointment of Liam Rosenior, I think it is safe to conclude that some players did not take to heart about his appointment. First of all, they could not overcome their disappointment that the club had part ways with Enzo Maresca midway the season. They did not find the club well justified in parting ways with Maresca. More likely, it was Maresca that part ways with the club. If it were a relationship, the girl broke up with the boy or with the rich man and not the other way around. At least from my understanding of things. So, they would want somebody whose name commands respect. And I think, albeit he's only one solito, his name still commands respect. Why? He has experience working at a big club, at Real Madrid. When we talk about big clubs in European football, I do not think they come any bigger than Real Madrid. Real Madrid are not the only ones in that basket, but clearly they are one of the biggest, if not the very biggest, when it comes to club history, when it comes to financial or revenue turnover, when it comes to having the best players that there is on the continent at the moment. They always have that. So that experience of being part of that dressing room or having managed that dressing room where you have a group of stars, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Junior, Kylian Mbappe, Fede Valverde, Thibaut Courtois, commanding their respect to a certain extent. Of course, some people will argue, well, they did not all respect him that much. But for a good number of months, I think about 6 months or thereabout, he was at the helm of that club. Unfortunately for him, he was tossed into the deep end. As soon as he walked through the doors at Real Madrid, he had to take the club through the FIFA Club World Cup, where they did fairly okay. I think exiting, was it at the quarterfinals or something? And then he barely had a preseason and took charge of the club through the new season. He did well because I think in the Spanish La Liga, he had only lost a few games, drawn about 3 or so, and then majority of them were wins. In fact, his winning record was as elite as they come. But having lost the Supercopa Hispana to Barcelona by 3-2, left a dent on his name within the realms of Real Madrid. And then there was the icing on the cake. The players sort of being opposed to some of his rules. But nonetheless, that experience of working at such a club would be invaluable to a club like Chelsea. Then, the other thing is that he has Premier League experience, not as a manager, but at least as a player. Because for 5 years, he plied his trade with Liverpool under the charges of Rafael Benitez Maudis. Remember, he joined Liverpool in 2004 after leaving Real Sociedad, and then he played there until 2009 when he left the club to join Real Madrid, where he played, I think, until 2014 before joining FC Bayern Munich. It is at FC Bayern Munich that he retired. Upon retirement, he went to work at Real Madrid with the academy, at the academy levels, at the under 14. It is from there that he then left to join Real Sociedad's B-side, and later on in October before joined by Leverkusen. So that has been his journey of management. But that knowledge about the Premier League, at least as a player, for half a decade, would be valuable. So then the other thing, he's very good at managing or handling young players. He exhibited that at Bayer Leverkusen with a player like Florian Wirtz, and by extension with a player like Arda Güler, only 21, as well as Gonzalo Garcia, who is 22. Now, at the FIFA Club World Cup, Gonzalo Garcia, in the absence of Kylian Mbappe, who started the tournament with an injury, Gonzalo Garcia was the one banging in the goals. In fact, he scored the first goal of the Xabi Alonso era at Real Madrid. Then Arda Güler, at the start of the season, was one of Real Madrid's talisman. He's one of the key players, and who handed him that role? It was Xabi Alonso. So he has this good relationship in managing young players, and therefore, and we know for a fact that Chelsea are laden with so many young players. Alejandro Garnacho, Willian Esteval, Joao Pedro, not too young, but still young nonetheless. All those emerging talents. They're going to have Jovan Quenda, you have a Dario Sugo in there, Liam Delap. All that is young talent. Talent with potential. Jamie Gittens, talent with potential. So he would be quite the fine brush to pick up on them. Now, of course, the downside in all this conversation is that he has no Premier League managerial experience in comparison to the guys that he's competing the job for with. For example, Andoni Iraola is one of the other candidates. Marco Silva from Fulham is one of the other candidates. Oliver Glasner, currently at Crystal Palace. All those three other candidates have Premier League experience. The others that do not have will be Cesc Fabregas as a manager, but he has the experience of having played in the Premier League as a player. The other is Francesco Farioli, for whom the world seems to think that at least he will be staying in Portugal for now, currently with FC Porto. So, out of the candidates that are available for this job, I think Xabi Alonso has that experience. When you look at a manager like Andoni Iraola, who has managed Lanaka, who has managed clubs like Rayo Vallecano in the Spanish La Liga, and currently FC Bournemouth, yeah, he has a bit of experience, but no experience of managing a club the size of Chelsea. It's not to say he's not worthy of the job, but I think if you are awarding points, I think Xabi Alonso would come ahead of him. Oliver Glasner, I think, is more experienced than majority of these candidates. He's shown that he's a very good competitions manager, guiding Crystal Palace to their first ever trophy when they won the FA Cup, they won the Community Shield, and they're into the finals already of the UEFA Conference League. That in itself is invaluable. We are talking about a player, we are talking about a team who, regardless of their shenanigans, what has gone well and unwell on and off the pitch, have still managed to win pieces of silverware. At least last summer, they won the UEFA Conference League and went on to win the inaugural expanded edition of the FIFA Club World Cup, really beating the European champions in PSG by 3-0 at the finals. So that comes with expectations that no matter how dark the world looks for Chelsea, they continue to win things. They have to remain in winning mode. So, your views and thoughts on Xabi Alonso. Do you think he is a better candidate? Do you think he's the perfect candidate for Chelsea? I think, given time, he will do well at Chelsea. The question is he the man that they will appoint? And if he is the man that they will appoint, will they give him the time? Because time is a rare commodity at some of these big clubs. Rarely do you get the benefit of time. Rarely do you get the benefit of time. If things do not start on the right note, you're quickly shown the exit. If things start on the wrong note, fans will turn up against you. And that is the last thing you'd want. Your views and thoughts on that. Do not forget to leave me a like, a share, and a comment on the channel, so that our video can be recommended to other persons of similar interest. Stay blessed for now, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.